Good morning. Welcome everyone to the meeting of the Barrie Police Service Board for June 19th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin with our land acknowledgement. In keeping with Indigenous protocol and building respectful relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples in Canada, it is customary to acknowledge the traditional territories and ancestral lands of Indigenous peoples. We would like to acknowledge this sacred land on which the Barrie Simcoe Emergency Service Campus operates. It has been the site for human activity for 15,000 years. This land is the ancestral land of the Wendat and the Anishinaabe Nation. The treaty that was signed for this particular parcel of land is collectively referred to as the Williams Treaty. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture. We also recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous peoples on this land and are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect. Miigwech, thank you. Our agenda for today was distributed in advance. A motion to approve our agenda. Mr. Khan, any questions, comments, amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, those in favor? Thank you. Any members of the board have any conflicts of interest they see as a result of today's agenda that I can declare? Seeing none, a motion to approve a couple of minutes that were distributed in advance. The minutes of our May 15th public meeting. Mr. Khan, any questions, comments, amendments with respect to those minutes? Seeing none, those in favor? Thank you. A second set of minutes were distributed June 13th, 2025, our virtual appointment committee meeting. Motion to approve those. Mayor Nuttall, Deputy Mayor Thompson, any questions, comments, or amendments to those minutes? Seeing none, those in favor? Thank you. We'll move into the presentation portion of our agenda this morning. Service staff have been working for months on the budget, but at this point in time, it's when it shifts from the staff to the board, and over the summer we'll have deliberations, in reviewing of the draft budget proposal. But the first process we have is to allow members of the community to say a few words and provide their comments with respect to the 2026 budget that the board would consider in its review. We sent out media, I think it's the best avenue, social media, requests for deputations. We received 3 deputations, and we'll hear from them today. Unfortunately, one of the individuals has advised that she's not well and will not be here to speak to us this morning. So we'll hear from 2 of the applications. The board will hear them in the order in which they were received, the applications were received. For our deputants, we allow 5 minutes for the presentation and then questions from the board. And any follow-up that the board may want to have. So in order of receipt, Michael Spears, Mr. Spears, you will be up first. Welcome to the Barrie Police Service Board. Thank you for your continued interest in the work that we do. The floor is yours, Mr. Spears.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I think this is my 6th year doing this. And I'm here once again as a concerned resident of Barrie, expressing my strong opposition to any increase in funding for the Barrie Police. As we all know, the budget for the Barrie Police has risen steadily over the past decade. And yet, like many Canadian cities, we continue to see growing concerns and crises in housing, mental health, addiction, and community safety. None of these are issues that policing can solve. In fact, relying on police to respond to these issues has been ineffective and incredibly expensive. Studies from across Canada, including by the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, have shown that investments in supports such as housing, mental health, supervised consumption sites, and poverty reduction deliver far better returns on public safety than putting more boots on the ground. The City of Toronto, for example, found that mobile crisis intervention teams resolved about 84% of calls without any need for arrest or hospitalization. These are the kinds of services that create a better, healthier community for everyone, not more officers or more patrol cars. Every dollar we pour into policing is a dollar we are not spending on the root causes of crime. The cost of hiring, equipping and maintaining even a single police officer runs well into six figures annually. With inflation and municipal budget pressures, this kind of investment must be justified not with anecdotal fear, but with measurable outcomes. Why are we spending tens of millions of dollars on enforcement rather than on prevention? As members of the Police Services Board, you have a duty to ask whether police funding increases reflect actual community priorities or merely institutional inertia. As I've said here before, policing wasn't created to serve and protect people, even if that's what we've been taught to believe. The institution was created to serve and protect the ruling class, to protect property over people. Policing isn't here to protect marginalized communities, it's here to control them. This week's news about increased police presence downtown is a very relevant example of this. It fuels an us versus them mentality. Instead of providing help, we're throwing money at old ideas that don't work and at initiatives that further target vulnerable members of our community. Even the name of this most recent enforcement push, the City Guardian Program, infuses the idea that some of the people who live here need to be protected from some of the other people who live here. If that's how this initiative is being framed, then it's going to be very, very harmful. What I'm saying isn't just an anti-police argument. It's an argument for smart budgeting and responsible governance in the city. And our city isn't alone. Canadian cities from coast to coast to coast are grappling with the same question. What actually keeps people safe? Thankfully, the research is clear on this. According to a 2022 report from Simon Fraser University, non-policing interventions, especially in housing, healthcare access, and youth support, have significantly more impact on long-term safety and well-being than expanding police forces. I know that Chief Johnston will agree that police are responding to calls they're simply not trained for. Mental health crises, wellness checks, and poverty-related incidents, for example. Giving police more money doesn't solve these problems. Giving community support does. I recognize that as a board, you are bound by the Police Services Act to ensure that community receives adequate and effective policing, and that taxpayer dollars are spent in a way that reflects the needs and priorities of the people of Barrie. It is with those obligations in mind that I urge you to consider a growing body of evidence that shows increasing police budgets does not lead to safer communities, and in many cases actually leads us in the opposite direction. Increasing the police budget is not the most effective or responsible use of public money. Real safety comes from meeting people's needs, not increasing enforcement. You have a duty to make decisions based on evidence and community priorities, not habit. Now is the time to invest in care, not more control. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spears. Question for Mr. Spears, Mayor Nuttall.
Perfect. Actually, the question for our staff and then for Mr. Spears. Somebody tell me what have the increases in funding to the police department been over the last 3 years? Call it the 23, 24, 25 budget.
Sure. That would be fine. For that, we were. So for the 24-25 budget cycles, we're in the 6 to 7% range. And then the year before that, I believe we were in the 3% range.
Just to confirm, 6% would be $4 million a year.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate for sure.
Okay, so the police funding's gone up roughly $12 million in the past 3 years, call it 3 cycles. Mr. Spears, are you aware of the increased funding for social services in our community?
Not the exact numbers, no.
Okay. So a couple of things have transpired over that same period of time. Firstly, the budget from the province for working with homelessness and working with those who are at risk on the street has gone up 80 4% in our community. And that was a almost $11 million increase per annum just on that one piece. We've had increased shelter funding, increased Heart Hub funding. Both of those you'll see start to be rolled out over the course of this summer, actually. But I think the budget's gone from somewhere in the neighborhood of $20 million through the county up to in the neighborhood of $40 million through the county. And that doesn't incorporate investments in affordable housing, which I think is one of the things that you stipulated or outlined we needed more funding for in the budget. On top of that, we have 20 Rose Street that we just announced last week. That's a 10-year repayment from the city as part of that project. That project is costing 250 to 300 million, which means that there's another $25 million on top of that. That means that the pace of spending on social services in our community is outpacing the investments in policing by a measure of somewhere between 3 and 4 to 1 over the past 3 years. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, that's not the issue at hand. Of course, spending on social services is going to be more, and that's good. But we need to be spending even more. And you're missing kind of the point of the presentation is that what you've been doing as a police board and what the police has been doing over the years and decades by continually thinking that more boots on the ground is going to solve the crises that we see on the streets every day. That just hasn't worked. And you can see it just driving down the streets. You know it hasn't worked. So why do we continue to do the same thing over and over again when we could invest that money, which is a finite resource, I understand. We can just do it in a better way. We can put in more supports for young people. We can invest even more in social housing. We could, at the very least, start to advocate for changes to how municipalities are empowered to raise resources and to how the city of Barrie is able to provide social services without the county. Like those are issues that I think need to be addressed. And I think you might agree with me on the fact that I think the city of Barrie should be the ones that is providing these social services directly to its citizens, not the county. So I hope in the future that you and your colleagues in Ontario can put more pressure to try to get these changes made.
I know if I could, sure. I was the one saying that I had to leave early, perhaps, and now I'm taking up the time, so I apologize, Mr. Chair. Michael, first of all, I want you to know that I really respect you for coming out after here and making your point. I think it's very, very, very cool that you do that and take the time and invest the time and thought in that process. I don't agree with what you're saying, but I think that it's worthwhile, and I hope it continues. The idea that the city can unilaterally change the process of how the social services takes place is just not something we're allowed to do. There's a City of Barrie Act which determines what we're responsible for and what we're not responsible for. And the last thing I wanted to say is that marginalized in our community, I'm one of the people who you could say was marginalized in our community, growing up in government housing, a place that we identify as needing consistent support, whether it's the city, the county, or the police service, or the paramedic service, or anything else. And I can tell you that while you or others may feel an us versus them, I was on the opposite side of that. When I was a kid, seeing police come through was something that for me provided comfort, stability. And those folks, like I'm jumping on a skateboard in front of a police cruiser coming through and they're not honking at me to get out of the way. They're stopping to say, hey, how's your day going? So I hope that, one day you're going to come here and you're going to say, wow, the police have won me over, not us versus them. And I really respect the work they do day to day on the street.
Any other questions? Once again, I echo the mayor's comments and appreciate you taking the time and effort to come out and present your position with us. So thank you, Mr. Spears. The next deputant was Caitlin Baldwin. Caitlin has advised us that she will not be here. So Brian Watts, Mr. Watts. Mr. Watts, thank you for your time and effort, and the floor is yours. There are 5 minutes, sir.
Well, good morning, Chief Johnson, Deputy Burke, Mayor Nuttall, and members of the board. First, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all today. I'm here representing an increasing number of concerned residents of Barrie who share growing community concerns about safety and livability in and around Barrie's downtown core, particularly as it pertains to the impacts of homelessness, addiction, and a perceived lack of consistent police presence. Increasingly, many residents no longer feel comfortable spending time downtown. Even during the daytime, people are wary of unpredictable or aggressive behavior from individuals in crisis. And at night, incidents of violence, including stabbings, have made many people hesitant to visit the downtown bars and restaurants. The familiarity of individuals experiencing crisis leaves many of us with the impression that this is now becoming a bit of the acceptable norm in the downtown core. And it is unfortunate, but a reality that these safety concerns are damaging our downtown reputation, not only within Barrie, but across surrounding communities as well. It's important to note that we do recognize that homelessness, mental health, and addiction are very complex issues that cannot be addressed by policing alone. And we applaud and support the many programs that the city has put in place aimed at supporting the homelessness. In fact, in my direct neighborhood, the repurposing of the Coates Automobile dealership to house some of Barrie's more senior homeless residents is proving to be a step in the right direction. But public safety must be prioritized alongside compassion and support. A more visible, proactive police presence, ideally in partnership with mental health and outreach teams, would go a long way toward restoring public confidence. I will also add, this is for you, Mayor, that there's also growing concern about the business landscape downtown. The core is starting to feel a bit imbalanced with a high concentration of tattoo studios, cannabis dispensaries, and other dispensaries, and fewer diverse family-friendly businesses that reflect a vibrant city center. This also contributes to the perception that the downtown is unsafe or uninviting. So today, we're here asking the Police Services Board to consider these realities as you review the upcoming police budget. We've also copied the Mayor's office and respectfully ask that this be shared with City Council for them to consider as they debate broader revitalization efforts for the City of Barrie. We believe that increased foot patrols, investment in mental health partnerships, and zoning strategies designed to encourage diverse business growth are all steps in the right direction. So on behalf of the citizens concerned for enhanced community center safety in the downtown core, I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. I think Deputy Mayor Thompson or Mayor Nuttall, question?
Yeah, thanks for your deputation. A few things that I think you asked for inside of the deputation and pieces that I think need to be addressed. Saturday, we had Dean Brody do a show downtown. And I don't know what the numbers were, maybe 35 to 5 or something like that in that neighborhood. So somewhere in and around plus, okay, somewhere just around 5,000 people.
Yeah, we saw a lot of cowboy hats on the street.
I think you were looking at me, sir, to be honest with you. And it was interesting because when we were walking around, because they had the open air Dunlop, I was walking with 3 or 4 people. And what struck me as I was walking was there's actually some new stores, maybe 3 or 4 new stores that are focused on. Like one was children's clothing. There was beach apparel. and it's in and around between, I would say, Meridian Place and Mulcaster. I don't think we got the same pickup to the west yet. But there is actually a healthy number of stores coming in that are focusing on that retail men's clothing store that just opened up just on the other side of Mulcaster. The concern I think you outline in policing, which is really what's here. I think Chief Johnson, you should maybe we could communicate what started I think 3 days ago now. And the concern that you're outlining in terms of police presence
Yes.
is one that I think that all of us have shared, and there's been continuing investment in that direction from the police service over the years. We don't direct the police where and how to deploy resources, but we can certainly give our 2 cents as to what we see as the issue. Final thing being, which I think is a police issue, because we've talked about it, is the dispensaries, right? Like, if an owner of a building is going to lease space to an illegal operation, there needs to be consequences for those actions.
Yep.
And we are working through it. There are difficulties with who is actually in charge of policing an edible substance, such as shrooms, and what body would come in and how we get at it. But I can tell you that the conversations are constant between the city, with the police service, looking to federal authorities that deal with edibles, and trying to do the right thing on that front. And I've been clear. I think my belief is if you're selling drugs in an organized fashion, and those drugs are illegal, there's nothing else you can call it except for organized crime. And I would be suspicious that there are other types of organized crime happening behind those establishments. That's just one guy's opinion.
Yep.
Not a police officer, but certainly for me, the common sense, let's go with it.
Are there any other questions? Deputy?
Thank you.
Sir. Thanks, Mr. Watts. Apologies. A little slow to,
That's okay. It's early.
Chair and members of the board as well. First of all, I want to thank both deputants. Thanks, Mr. Spears. I didn't want to jump in because I didn't need to echo the mayor's comments, but Mr. Watts, just a couple of thoughts. First and foremost, I appreciate you coming. Secondly, I appreciate the tone in which you advised and shared of your concern that you recognize that there's got to be a balance of serving all members of the community, which includes perhaps the silent majority, which includes taking care of those who are vulnerable, but not at the expense of necessarily the safety of, for example, children in playgrounds, parks where there might be serving businesses, et cetera. Right. I'm not going to ask this question of you if you don't mind, but I'm actually going to through you, Chair, to the chief. Chief, in past years where we've heard similar comments and concerns from deputants, there was a question regarding how the service responds in terms of protocol based on hours of availability of those provide services in the community versus what the police are capable of doing. Can you just refresh our memories on that, please?
Through you, Chair. Yes. So I do want to echo, thank you for caring, taking the time to be here, yourself and Mr. Spears. People who are passionate about their community come in and they share their thoughts, and that improves us all. With respect to answering the question, we are well aware of the important aspect of all the social services within our community. The challenge the police face and appreciating it is not by design, not by our desire, by any stretch of the imagination, but we work 24/7 every day of the year. There are people here and delivering public safety in the community. Same can be said of paramedics and the ability of fire to respond 24/7. But beyond those specific emergency services, most other, in fact, I could be corrected if I'm wrong, there might be, there is a 1-800 phone line for communication, but no other services are working around the clock. And the challenge we face is the complex issues that have been identified, which we all recognize and we all want to solve. And we all recognize there are better solutions, but at the same time, there's a balance to be found there. So police find themselves the only ones picking up the phone sometimes. And people deserve, when they call for help, someone has to go. We just can't say, well, 8 o'clock in the morning, the door's open. That is unacceptable. So we find ourselves answering those calls, and we do so with the best of intentions and with the best of our ability.
Chief, we just announced that the mayor mentioned a relatively new initiative, additional resources, special auxiliary, as well as foreign officers, police, fully sworn. When there's an interaction with a member of the public who may be part of the vulnerable population, who may be engaged in some drug activity or whatever, can you just clarify the first response is to what? Cuff them and bring them to jail, or what is the actual response that your members are directed to look for as a first option?
Through you, Chair, thank you. So with the downtown city guardian project, and the term guardian was actually, and again, that was, if it's a poor selection of terms, that is completely on me. That was to be in complete contravention to the concept of the warrior mentality. We're there to help and protect and serve our community. So Mr. Spears, respectfully, that was the only intention of that. And again, that falls on me. With respect to our interaction with our community members, again, I'll speak to the balance. We understand there are people suffering with mental health and addiction issues, and sometimes they cross over as well as homelessness. But there are also people who live their lives and are conducting business, and they're entitled to that same sense of safety and the ability to walk around freely without and go to parks and not step on needles. It is complex. Our members down there are directed. The possession of that substance is illegal. And so if it's in plain sight and it's being used, it will be seized and destroyed. But at the same time, our guardian members that are not out there to punish punitively, they are then directed to provide direction to social services and contacts so they can get help. I'm under no illusion that it will work all the time. If it works a small percentage of the time, I'm happy, because we have to work in concert with our county and our city, who have been very and repeatedly asked, as this board has, so like our downtown is a focus and it needs to be addressed differently, and thus our reaction and response to that. And we are appreciative of the support we have received. But you're going to find us everywhere, and it's not to annoy or harass. It's to help everyone in the way that they need to be helped.
The new initiative that's come up, both the presence of policing in our downtown core came up with Mr. Spears, and the new program that was rolled out. Can you elaborate a little bit what that program faces, Chief Johnson, please?
So technology, certainly. So in addition to our downtown community safety and well-being team that's down there with special constables, there is the city guardian initiative, and that is almost exclusively, and I was already asked about this at a Ward 2 meeting, foot patrol. They will be on bikes sometimes too, and on the UTV, and they will be patrolling throughout the downtown around our public buildings, City Hall, the library, the bus terminal, and it is to be Meridian Place and to be seen, and to we have a vibrant, healthy downtown in a lot of ways, and we face challenges like everywhere else, but it is to remind people that we are there, and the intent is to engage with our community, to address behaviors that we see when when they need to be addressed, and very specifically. And again, I am unapologetic about that. I think there's an expectation on a public safety, and parcel of that is law enforcement. And again, we recognize there are a lot of challenges with that, but we can't just walk by. So they are to engage, to assist where necessary, to help our community engage with them, but also it is to remind people that, we agree to abide by these laws. And so we have to.
Did ask a question to the chief?
That was a question to you. Well, there, no.
Yeah, no,
meaning that's the only way you can respond. So that was a question to you.
I was just going to ask Chief if that program, which is in my view, an excellent program, is that a seasonal program or is that a committed annual program?
Through you, Chair. Thank you. That is to be an ongoing program. We are piloting it right now. We will, as I've always said, we target, test, and track. We want to track and see results and what those look like. How do we improve it? But I think, and I could be completely wrong, but I think our community is demanding and wanting to see more of us. We're very fortunate that way, where our community, almost everyone loves to see us, which is great when we're not reacting to a call versus we show up. Appreciating that's not always the best time when you see the police, but the reality is they want to see us. And for a majority of people, when they see the police in Canada, in Ontario, but in this city, it does bring a sense of safety. And we can debate it, but at the end of the day, I think that's okay to want, because it is a safe city. It really is. And we can talk about measures, but that doesn't matter. It's how you feel. And I think our community wants to feel safer. To ignore that, it's a shame on a police service that says it polices by consent. We're here to help people feel safe too.
Thank you to both deputies for taking the time. We'll continue with. They're welcome to stay. It's an open meeting. You can stay all morning, but feel free to exit anytime during the meeting. Thanks again, Mr. Spears. We'll pause for 2 minutes, please. I'm going to reconvene. We still have quorum. Our consent agenda was distributed in advance. There were 5 items: Barrie Police Service Annual Report, the 2026 budget timeline, public complaints report, human resource report, and special constable and auxiliary appointments. Number like any of those items pulled. Assume it's approval on consent. Thank you. A motion to approve the appointment of the following members as police constables of the Barrie Police Service as per section 83(4) of the Community Safety and Policing Act, and the 6 individuals are listed there. Motion to approve those. Strong. Mayor Thompson. Questions, comments on the appointments? Wonderful. Mr. Dan, your timing is perfect. The included in the package this morning are two updates to board policies number 22 and 23. Sir, would you like to speak to those, please?
Thank you, Chair. And if I might put them on the floor. There are two, and as you mentioned, they are a little bit procedural in nature in terms of updating our policies and procedures to remain aligned with the Community Policing and Safety and Policing Act, CP, whatever, Policing and Safety Act, CSPA. Thank you. Got it. Takes a while. Too many acronyms. The first of which, with me, just on the list, there's a use of force and weapons, and that one really is just to confirm that the service remains in alignment and compliance with ensuring that our service, one, is providing the essential and necessary and regular training to all sworn members, but as well to ensure that the resources, whether they're tools or procedures, remain in alignment with being approved by the Solicitor General's office, that we're not essentially trying and testing anything that might be available on the market, but anything that we deploy or utilize or train with is already approved. I think that kind of covers the essence of that policy. And the second one, Chair and members of the board, is referring to critical points, and that policy is with regard to ensuring, again, alignment, that we define what a critical point of communication is in terms of ongoing investigations or activities that might be of a nature that hits a certain trigger point that warrants that the chief communicates with the board to update the board. Again, was spoken to earlier. It's not the board's place necessarily to, or it's definitely not the board's place to direct particular investigation or operations, but it is the place of the chief to ensure that the board remains informed, such that if the board has any concerns or wants any clarification, that we can have that exchange of communication with the chief. And that's all I can say to this.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Thank you to you for your efforts and that of staff of, especially the new one. There's the Solicitor General's office is specifically with the new Police Act, insisting on a policy with respect to critical points. The background related to it is, some instances boards have said they've wiped their hand of any incident, just said, well, that's operational. We got nothing to say. And under the new act, again, as Mr. Khan has said, we cannot dictate operations, but it is now an obligation for the board to be advised, and if they see fit, perhaps provide direction to the chief and senior command. A question for you, Chief Johnson. Obviously, it directly relates to your job and your communication with the board. Do you have any concerns with the policy as outlined, sir?
Thank you, Chair. No, having reviewed it, no concerns whatsoever. I do recognize this is under the new Community Safety and Policing Act, recognition of the level of engagement of boards of governance and their role, and certainly born of the Morden inquiry out of the G20. The board of governance should be kept apprised of the challenges that are and the ongoing incidents that are occurring under the very service that they are governing. So no, none whatsoever.
Thanks, Chief. And it does put more onus on the board to be. Can't bury our heads. Yes, Mr. Khan, please.
I apologize, Chair. I should have outlined as well. I believe there is a provision there as well that there's an obligation that where necessary, a board and a chief can audit so while we may not be directing any one particular matter, pending the outcome, we have the ability to audit and review should there be overarching change or adjustment based on any precedent.
That's great just to have the policy in place. Okay, something happened last week. How could we have managed that situation a little better? So again, thank you. I guess if there was a motion, I didn't get a seconder for the motion to approve the two new policies. Any questions for either Mr. Khan, the chief, with respect to these? Great. Those in favor? Wonderful. Thanks again, Mr. Condon, staff for the update. Back to you, Chief Johnson, for your monthly update to the board, sir.
Thank you, Chair. So this has been a very, very busy month. So thank you once again for allowing me to keep the board apprised and our community of the numerous events and things going on in our city to share with our community and the board. On Saturday, May 31st, local Special Olympian Jason Hellman hosted his annual Razors for Hope fundraiser for the Terry Fox Foundation at City Hall. Inspector Carl Moore was on hand to present a donation on behalf of the Barrie Police Service, and IT coordinator Austin X. Weiler joined in having his head shaved as well. Someone follically challenged like myself, I can appreciate the aerodynamic nature of that. Very nice cut. Constable Puneet Gill attended the opening of Barrie's first Gurdwara, which is a Sikh place of worship on June 1st. The Barrie Police Service was presented with a miniature replica of the Gurdwara in India, which is considered the most significant shrine in Sikhism. Very nice gift. On Monday, June 2nd, the service's Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee hosted a flag raising to mark the start of Pride Month. The raising of the progressive Pride flag signifies the Barrie Police Service's commitment to fostering a culture of inclusion, safety, and respect for the 2S LGBTQIA+ community. Barrie Police members at the Barrie Courthouse helped to safely relocate a mama duck who had been nesting in a planter at the courthouse. Staff at the courthouse had been watching over her as she'd become very used to the special constables there. After 10 ducklings hatched prior to the courthouse opening on May 30th, service member April Moriarty, Special Constable Henderson, and Special Constable Boucher carefully gathered the ducklings in a box and walked them down to the waterfront, escorted the whole way by Mama Duck, as you can see. We do want to recognize our courthouse team for their dedication to the safety and security of all visitors to the courthouse, whether inside or out. Those with web feed as well. Wednesday, June 11th, marked our annual law enforcement torch run in support of Special Olympics Ontario. Joined by athletes, including Barrie Police Service's own Nick Cunningham, the run traveled from our station to Allendale Rec Center and back. A big thank you to Domino's Pizza for their donation of pizza for the participants to enjoy after the run. It was a really good turnout. On Thursday, May 15th, the Barrie Police Service hosted our annual awards night at Mapleview Community Church. We were honored to recognize officers and members for their exemplary service of more than 20 years. Members were also recognized for their exceptional efforts through preventing auto theft, through the Preventing Auto Theft Unit, Crisis Negotiators, several life-saving awards, civilian awards, and the Auxiliary Officer and Citizen on Patrol Volunteer of the Year. Also recognized was one young man from our community whose instincts and concern for a friend led him to undoubtedly save his friend's life. Thank you to the awards committee, all of our members who attended, and always Mapleview Community Church for hosting us. With the summer weather upon us, Barrie's waterfront and downtown are busy with lots of great events taking place, which makes it busy for our members as well. On June 7th, the Barrie Police Service, along with our policing partners, assisted with the 2025 Barrie Air Show. We had Marine units, sworn auxiliaries, auxiliary officers, and citizen on patrol volunteers, all on hand to help ensure a safe and smooth event. On Saturday, June 14th, the BIA's Troubadour Festival kicked off with Dean Brody performing in Meridian Place. And this photo is thanks to at the scene photography. I draw your attention to that. I like to draw it specifically to the two officers in their high visibility shirt standing in the crowd at the back there, making it easy for the community to find us if they need assistance, and also ensure that our presence is noticed. That is visibility at its best. With respect to our meetings and partnerships, a very, very busy month. We've continued our ongoing CSWB, Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee meetings. We've had visits from Thunder Bay Police, Waterloo Regional Police, Chatham-Kent Police, and Winnipeg Police. These services have have visited to learn more about the Barrie Police Service approach to records management, the community alternative response and engagement team. And so that's the non-police response to people in mental health, our communications unit, amongst other topics, in highlighting the fact that we're really one of those services that are leading the way in so many areas. We also visited Guelph to view their community safety operations center, a lifetime operations center across their city where they're able to monitor public safety. On May 27th, we joined numerous other police services in utilizing the OPP bail compliance dashboard, which will allow us to monitor and share information about individuals on bail for firearms related offenses. Representatives from OMERS visited Barrie in May and toured our station, including meeting with the tactical support unit. They were appreciative of the opportunity to see our wonderful facility. In early June, I had the occasion to speak at the Canadian Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement conference down east, addressing the role of research for informing policy, training and practices. And lastly, just this week, we had our annual strategic planning day, bringing together members from across the service to look at our objectives and priorities over the next few years as we work on our next strategic plan for 2026, 2029. And I will say, I said in the last, on yesterday, on June 18th, the Barrie Police Service hosted Dr. Craig Bennell, a professor at Carleton University and head of the Police Research Lab. Dr. Bennell presented to members of the Barrie Police Service, Inspectorate of Policing, the Ontario Police College, and Georgian College. The research around what works in police training was the topic. As a learning organization, we will be seeking to operationalize what we have learned and influence training and policy at the provincial level. Inspector Gates presented at the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards Spring Conference and annual general meeting, which I believe Chair and Mr. Khan attended, on the topic of 34, advancing women in policing across Canada, which is a Barrie Police Service-led Canadian version of 30 by 30 out of the US. Both initiatives are focused on advancing women and supporting the representation of women in sworn policing roles. Last month, Constable Annie Romard from our service received the King Charles III Coronation Medal from Premier Doug Ford and Solicitor General Michael Kersner. Constable Romard followed that up, attending to the Ontario Police College to speak with cadets there about her policing career and overcoming adversity. We're quite proud. Some investigations. On Saturday, May 17th, a 22-year-old Barrie man was arrested and charged in relation to an assault on Mayfair Drive in early May. On Tuesday, May 6th, Barrie police were called to the area of Mayfair Drive near Arda Road for a report of a woman who had been assaulted by an unknown individual as they passed while walking on the sidewalk. The victim was taken to a local hospital and was later released. The 22-year-old is charged with aggravated assault, assault with a weapon, possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose. Barrie Police Service would like to thank the public and the media for their assistance in this investigation. Numerous tips and information, as well as surveillance camera footage, were provided to police during the investigation. Community safety is a collaborative effort, and we appreciate the support of the public as we work to ensure that the suspect involved in the assault was identified and held responsible. On May 26th, the Barrie Police Tactical Support Unit assisted the Toronto Police in the execution of a search warrant in Barrie related to a double homicide that occurred in Toronto in April. Toronto Police reached out again the following day to express their appreciation for the support and continued partnership between our two services. A mention was also made at of the collaborative efforts in the Toronto Police press conference. May 29th, 3 individuals, a 16-year-old youth, 20-year-old male, and a 39-year-old male were arrested after information was received that the 3 were wanted and were observed in a business in the North End Plaza. Numerous charges were laid, including charges related to a loaded firearm, a replica firearm, and drugs for the purposes of trafficking. Two individuals are now facing multiple charges related to a wide-reaching investigation into vehicle thefts through the use of fraudulent checks and bank drafts across Ontario. On Tuesday, June 3rd, a months-long investigation by the combined Barrie Police Service, South Simcoe Police, Street Crime Auto Theft Unit resulted in simultaneous execution of 5 criminal code search warrants at properties located in Toronto, King City, Havelock, and Springwater Township. It is estimated that the value of the property recovered is in excess of $1 million. Finally, Chair, on June 16th, we launched our enhanced downtown team, continuing on our successful initiative from the summer of 2024. Last summer, 10 BPS members, including 3 constables, special constables, and a sergeant, were assigned to the downtown core. This summer, 17 members will be providing increased presence and visibility and will be seen on foot, on bikes, in marked cars, and in a utility terrain vehicle or UTV. New in 2025, our special constables will also be making regular rounds through several public buildings, including located in the downtown, including City Hall, the Barrie Public Library downtown branch, Meridian Place, and the bus terminal. This initiative, known as the City Guardian Program, was developed in partnership with the City of Barrie, and our thanks to them, and will provide essential and additional support and engagement in these key public spaces downtown. And with that, Chair, I will cease talking and hand it back to you.
Thank you, Chief Johnson. Questions for the chief from the board? Mayor Nuttall, please.
Chief, do you have any information? Was the individual who stabbed the victim on Mayfair, were they granted bail?
Through you, Chair, not off the top of my head, Your Worship, I'll get back to the board with that.
Thank you. And if I may, Mr. Chair, I want to say thank you to you for the launch of the program on Monday. I think that it's something that will hopefully send not only the right message of feeling safe and secure, but I hope that it sends the message to the people who are dealing or participating in criminal acts downtown, that it's not a safe place for them to do that anymore. So I really do hope the message goes both ways, which is safe for people who just want to enjoy themselves and enjoy the downtown or go for a walk. Not a safe place to be selling drugs or participating in assaults or robberies or anything else like that. And I think it's been a long time being organized and planned. So I think there's been a lot of effort to make sure this goes right. And I'm not the chair of this board, but a different one being the council. I want to say thank you.
Additional questions for Chief? Yeah, seem to be echoing the mayor's sentiments, Chief, and it did warrant a question earlier, not having seen your presentation in advance, that it's the board's position that the continued expansion of the presence in the downtown core is important to the citizens of the city. That has echoed those comments better than I can. So thank the leadership team for that initiative. Seeing none, no more questions. I'll jump. Our next meeting is September the 18th, 2025, which is a special budget meeting. And then our board meeting is September the 22nd. What's that? Opposite? Thank you, Sarah. Opposite. I would entertain a motion to move in camera, please, in accordance with section 44(1)B and section 44(1)D of the Community Safety and Policing Act. Mr. Khan. Deputy Mayor Thompson, I assume any. But so approved, I guess. For the general public that's here, few of you left. There will be no further open business after we adjourn our in camera. So thank you.